All right, good day, everyone, and make sure we're going live, Shakira. I know we are. My name is Marcia Griffin. I am with HomeFree-USA, and it is just such a pleasure to have everyone with us today. We are talking about clever ways to turn your home into extra income, and so that's super exciting. We're just going to give a couple of about a minute or so for more people to come on. And as we're joining clever ways to turn your home into extra income, I want to just give a shout out to our wonderful speakers today. We have Simone Griffin. Simone, if you could raise your hand and just give us a wave there. Simone Griffin is, she works with HomeFree-USA as her day job, but in the evenings and sometimes during the days on the weekends, Simone is focused on building her part-time gig, if you will, through a very lucrative business as an Airbnb host. So Simone, it's great to have you. In 1 year, she earned about $27,000. So we're going to figure out and just learn how she did it. I want to give a warm shout out to Marcia. Marcia, if you could just say a quick hi. Well, we're going to get to Marcia in just a moment. She is the president and founder of HomeFree-USA, and she has a lot of great jewels to share as we start this discussion. Let's give a warm wave to Frida Williams. Frida, if you could wave to us so we know who you are. Frida Williams is our senior homeownership advisor. She's been in the business for over 30 years, and she has really, during that time, helped thousands of people nationally and definitely in the D.C. metropolitan area. I'm getting some echo, so our panelists, if you all could mute your lines. And so Frida has helped not only homeowners and home buyers buy their home, but homeowners maintain home ownership. So it's a pleasure to have our panelists of experts on the line, and we're going to get started with them shortly. So if you all could turn off your screens really quickly. And Shakira, why don't you go ahead and Shakira, she's in our background. She's our producer here, so you'll be hearing her name come up a lot. And so Shakira, why don't you put our opening video on, and this is just an opportunity for you all to learn more about what we do for home buyers and homeowners. Shakira, why don't you go ahead and play the video, and thank you so much for joining us.
It never hurts to have someone else have your back. And so that's what Home Free had for me. They had my back. I went in as a single individual. And so as a single individual, it was nice to have someone else vetting things, looking over things, making sure I was in the right direction and not being taken advantage of or anything of that nature. Owning a home is a lot of work, but the reward in the long run pays off.
So that's just a little bit about HomeFree-USA. We are nonprofit homeownership advisors, and it's our job to really guide folks just like yourselves step by step through the home buying process and to position you for mortgage approval. So we appreciate everybody joining us today, and all speakers on the line, if you all could just hide your videos, all the speakers on the line except for Marcia, because we have a special message from our founder and president, Marcia Griffin. So as we go into the conversation, Marcia, of clever ways to turn your home into extra income, into more money, please give us some opening words of advice as we enter into a powerful session.
Well, thank you so much, Milan, and welcome to all of you who are here. It is critical that we work together to increase our knowledge base, to increase our income, and to just sort of come together with how we're going to just do more financially with our lives. I hope that you will find the topic today enlightening, whether you're a homeowner or a home buyer. The whole idea of benefiting from your home is really key. This is the foundation of HomeFree-USA. We have been here for 25 years. Our goal is to take you up the financial ladder, largely through home ownership. And when you get there, and you will get there. And for those of you who are already there, there are just some things that you might want to think about, that if you have some extra room in your house, you're going to learn today about what you can do and how you can make some money. These are important tools. These are important learnings. And thank you so much for being a part of our Build Wealth Through Homeownership series. Please invite your friends. This is about elevating our financial lives. Bring your family and your children, everybody, to our seminars. They are brief. The tips that you will get are easy to understand, and they are a template for what you can do once we get off of this call, this webinar today. So welcome, thank you. Become a part of our HomeFree-USA family. Milan is going to talk to you a little bit later about how to do that. So thank you so much for being with us today.
And Marcia, before you depart, you know, many on the line may be meeting you for the first time. You and your husband, Jim, also my parents, so let's just put the disclaimer, it's a lot of Griffins on the phone. You all have really built this business, HomeFree-USA, from the ground up. So tell us really quickly, Marcia, how has home ownership helped you in business?
Well, that is an excellent question, and obviously Milan knows the story. You know, guys, back 25 years ago, when we wanted to start HomeFree-USA, we then cashed in all of our real estate, all of our, it's a shame to say, but all of our kids, and I've got 4, all of our kids' savings, you know, money that we had been saving for college, and we cashed in all of that to go to the mortgage industry with this idea. And the idea was one that, guys, you all are over here, we're the home buyers, particularly Black home buyers, people of color are on the other side. We could bring everybody together in a win-win. So these guys, our guys, are not being ripped off. They're getting a really good deal. The mortgage industry can get a loan that they can approve. This is what we want. And so we raised our money. We went to the industry with a hand up and not a hand out, and said, look, this is the money that we put together. What will you bring to the table to complement our money? This is how we got started. And I have to say, guys, that is, if we did not have properties and we bought the properties low when they probably didn't look so good, got them all fixed up, and they increased in value. That's one thing. Properties, real estate will increase in value. And I have to say, when we started our HBCU program, it's called the Center for Financial Advancement, and we did that just 3 years ago to support students, many of you who are on the phone now at HBCUs, and start a program that provided the financial literacy, the decision-making contacts, the role models that we feel were needed for our young people to overcome this wealth gap that we're in. In order to start CFA, once again, we sold properties, put together some money, started CFA, went to the mortgage industry, went to financial industries, realtors, etc. This is what we have. We have an idea that will empower people, that will work. This is how we got started. So real estate for us was the foundation and is the foundation of everything that we have done and will do. So with that, and really the information that you will hear today will give you even more ideas. These are some things that I've not done. But look, I tell you, we're all about how we can increase our income, how we can have more money and keep more money. It's about business. The time is now. We cannot wait. We cannot sit. We got to move it forward. That's what we're doing today. Back to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Marcia, for your vision, passion. And I will say, as you have already stated, a lot of times people who are renting, looking to buy, and people who currently own, they may not know all of the many benefits of home ownership. And to what you just mentioned, one major benefit is that home ownership creates options for you to access more money to do things like start a business. So again, Marcia, we appreciate you, and we thank you for attending today and giving us some motivational message. So thank you. If you could close out, and let me bring on Simone Griffin. So Simone Griffin, again, a lot of Griffins here. Let me do disclaimer. HomeFree-USA is a family-owned company. Marcia is not only my mother, but she's also my boss. So she's not only my boss, she's also the boss of me and Simone. And so Simone works at HomeFree-USA as well. She is the vice president of our affiliate relations. But most importantly, per this call, Simone has truly mastered, if you will. She may not feel like she's mastered it, but Simone has truly mastered the art of clever ways to turn your home into extra income. So Simone, as we begin, tell us about your journey. I mean, you've been in this game of turning your home into extra income for a while now. And so how have you done that? How have you turned your home into extra income? And with that question, kind of walk us through how you just got started in general. Kind of start us off on your path to landlord, then Airbnb host, and your income generation from there.
Sure. Well, when I first bought my house, I bought it with the intention of renting out parts of it. I was single, and I knew that I didn't want something that just fit me. I wanted something that I could make money off of. And so I was very clear down to the location that I bought it in, down to the structure of the house. I renovated it so I could create a separate apartment. And I've always had renters one way or the other. So over time, what happened was that I, fast forward years, Airbnb opens, I leave, come back. Again, because of the location of my house, I've always had tenants one way or the other, which has been a gift. Left, moved back, and I heard in 2014, a friend of mine was like, oh, I wasn't able to rent out my basement, you guys. That was the reality. Quite frankly, it's just people didn't want to live in a basement. And so a friend of mine was like, oh, but I need this space, because he was coming back and forth. He had an employee. He was doing a contract here. He lives in North Carolina. He was doing a contract here. He had an employee that was coming back and forth. So he was like, I'm paying on Airbnb $110 a night for a guy to share a room on Capitol Hill. I would pay you $60. I was like, wait, what? A night? Fine. That's all I needed to hear. And so within a weekend, I furnished the whole place, because I was only dealing with tenants who had their own furniture. I ended up furnishing the whole place in a week, in 4 days. And the guy came in, and that was it. And after that, I went on Airbnb and I joined as a host while he was in here and all of that. And I've been very, very fortunate. I have had guests pretty consistently. I very rarely have breaks in the last 6 years. But what this has also led to is another part-time business, which is coaching people on how to be an Airbnb host. And so, because there are a lot of nuances, it's very simple. Getting on the platform is simple. But how you grow and build a business off of it and make more money, there's more to it than just posting your house or your space on the platform. So now I coach people. I write articles. I manage a couple of different other properties. In fact, just this morning, you guys, fortunately, this is from the neck up, because you would see I look horrible, because this morning I went to clean up one of the properties that I manage. These are the things that you have to be on top of. So in addition to actually managing my own Airbnb, I train other hosts how to manage theirs, and I manage 3 additional Airbnbs on behalf of other owners.
And so you have really turned, can you hear me okay? I want to make sure I'm not on mute.
Yeah.
You have turned not only your experience as an Airbnb host, so really you went through you're in a couple stages. First, you started off very intentionally as a landlord. And then from there, you graduated to Airbnb once you saw the opportunity to make more money from that. And then now you are growing even broader to being a coach to help people either get on Airbnb or, you know, be more successful in the platform. So kind of break down for us, Simone, in your opinion, what type of person, you can kind of reword this, but what type of person is best for being a landlord or versus an Airbnb host, or maybe just give us shed some light on the pros and cons of each category, because they are very different.
They are very different, and I will tell you that Airbnb sounds good because technically it is more money. Well, not technically, it is more money, but it is also a lot more work. There are pluses and minuses to both sides. When you are a landlord, you have a long-term tenant, and especially in DC where the landlord-tenant laws are heavily, heavily in favor of the tenant, you have to do a lot of work to make sure that you're going to get your rent paid every month. And I'm talking about work on the front end. Guys, I've managed numerous long-term rentals as well, and I think I've been fortunate, really, really fortunate, but I also do a lot of due diligence on the front end. So I vet my tenants very well. I don't do grandiose generalizations, but I look at everything on their credit report. I watch everything. I pay attention to the person. So I get to know the whole person as they come in. That's really something you've got to, but once I get in there and I feel comfortable with them, I'm pretty hands off. They take care of the property. I come in for the big maintenance work, and that's really it. And that's worked very well for me. And I manage a property that in the city that I don't even live in right now because of the vetting that I have been able to do with my tenants on the front end. Airbnb is much, much, much more hands-on than that. But you don't have to vet people. You don't have to do marketing. You get the short-term stays. So if I have a long-term persistent issue, that guest is leaving in 3 days or however long it is, I can get in and do the work. And that's fine. I can decide I don't want to list it this week. Maybe I have some friends coming in town and I'm offering them the space. I can do it. I can structure it the way that I choose to structure it, and that works very well. But what that does mean is it's like a hotel. Every 3 to 4 nights or however long it is, you've got turnover. You got to go in and make sure all of your supplies are there. You got to make sure that everything is in good order. The reason I went over to one of the properties I managed this morning, and I trust my cleaner, but this is a long-term cleaner. I've had her for years. But the guest checks in on Monday or Sunday and says, Monday, they're like, well, the sheets haven't been changed, or this hasn't happened and that. And I'm like, well, that's very weird, but I didn't want to just assume anything. So I have to go over there myself and check and see exactly what's happening and guide the cleaner, because the cleaning person was washing the sheets. But obviously there's something going on with the washing machine because everything wasn't coming out. And the cleaning person hadn't noticed it, but the guest had. It's ultimately my responsibility to make sure that we close that gap. That's the type of hands-on work. If I had a long-term tenant, I wouldn't be sitting there worried about sheets. It wouldn't even be my sheets. But when you're paying more, when you're getting more money for this stuff, you have to be much more hands-on. So going into your question, Milana, who is this for? This is not for somebody who wants a hands-off approach. Unless you can have a manager, absolutely, you can have an Airbnb property manager, and that's perfectly fine. And I coach people through getting that too. But if you're gonna be the one that benefits financially, you're gonna have to do the work. And if you're willing to jump in there and do that work, that's big. Also, the customer service element, everybody does not have good customer service skills. And if you don't, do not do it. I co-manage a property with with one of my brothers, and his customer service is phenomenal. He is excellent with all of that. So even today, after we left the property, he went and bought the guest a bottle of wine just to say, we appreciate you. We apologize for all, whatever has happened. And she's very grateful. That's above and beyond type of quality that my brother and I both have, but he actually has it at a higher degree than I do. And he jumps in and all of that and really makes sure things are straight. So customer service is incredibly important when you're dealing with that. And also being a people person enough to be able to deal with different types of personalities, and how much do you want to be involved in your property. If you don't have those things, either get a property manager for your Airbnb or do focus on long-term rentals.
Okay, got you. So, and actually we have a couple questions that came in for you, Simone. And I want to just go ahead. Usually
I see these questions. I can address them.
We usually wait for Q&A, but I want to just get these questions because I think what you're talking about is really pertinent, and I don't want to lose the zest. But one thing that you mentioned before we get to the questions, just to kind of wrap up on your last point, which is a really excellent point. So the landlord, being a landlord in the sense of traditional month-to-month rentals, long-term rentals, is best for people who don't necessarily want to deal with all the intricate day-to-day of Airbnb. Because you're right, Airbnb is a hotel stay, at the end of the day. So it's a different thing. So I'm just going to read these questions out loud, but you can see them as well, so you know how to answer them. So, let me go back up to the top.
Well, one question here, I see it. How are you operating differently in the COVID-19 environment? COVID-19. Which is an excellent question. You all, I did go a month. I went about March to April with no bookings at all. Everybody canceled. Everybody. What we're finding, here's the trend, the less expensive properties are getting booked. I'm now back to 100% booked since mid-April. What's happening is my property, I decreased the price. I'm on the lower end of my price range. I'm not gonna say I decreased it, but I'm on the lower end of my price range. I am getting more longer term guests. These are people who are, whether they're interns, whether they are displaced. I've had a lot of people who have been displaced due to COVID. So because of my lower price point and I offer parking, they are coming in and I'm getting an average of 2 to 3 week stays, which actually doesn't make me any more money. I make more money off of 2 to 3 nights, but that's neither here nor there. Look, at this, in the COVID stage, you get what you can get. My higher end properties that I manage are not making as much money. People just can't do it. So my lower end properties though are staying booked pretty constant and they're also well located. So that's one. Do I have a 9 to 5? I do have a 9 to 5. I actually work with HomeFree 9 to 5. This is one of the massive benefits to to Airbnb, that you can set your own schedule and do it at times. I also have a cleaning person though. There is no way that I could work full time and go in and clean the units in between time. It was this morning that I had to go over to that unit because I couldn't have the place looking like the guest said it looked. But aside from that, I can do this around my schedule, around my work schedule. So yes, I do maintain and it's not even a 9 to 5, it's more like a 9 to 8. That's really it. Do the general standard tenant landlord rules of engagement in DC guide the landlord tenant arrangements? It's funny. No, the answer is no. Can you evict? Not if you see that they're not a good fit. No, you got to go through the Airbnb channels for that. However, one of the things that I just learned is after 30 days, you are technically a District of Columbia resident. If your guests stay over 30 days, then they start to come under the laws of the District of Columbia. And that makes things a little bit more dicey. I've got to read into that a lot more, but that's the understanding that I have. That typically doesn't impact us because we usually have guests that are shorter than 30 days. So if they're shorter than 30 days, they come under the Airbnb guidelines. If you're having an issue with the guest, you automatically go to Airbnb. Don't even deal with anything regarding DC government because this is your private property and that's not landlord-tenant guides. Does location affect?
Let me just pause you right quick. So I just want to make sure everybody on the line, Simone has been talking about her experience as a landlord and most currently Airbnb host. We do invite folks to, before we transition to Frida, and then we're going to have another Q&A after Frida before we wrap up. But before we transition to Frida, please go ahead and send Simone and us any notes that you have. We did just answer the question from Francis, Clarissa, as well as Dio, Dr. O. And so Nicholas has a question. Simone, does location affect other and non-metro area? I'm assuming, how does the location affect with Airbnb?
Location has an effect, but that does not make it irrelevant. It's a great tool. It can be used anywhere, but what you're going to look at is what is around you in terms of determining pricing. Even if there's nothing around you, look, if you've got like a major medical center that you live near, people could come there and stay for long-term stays. Look at what's around you. Why would someone come and visit? But absolutely, you can do Airbnb anywhere in the country, or in the world, in fact, in the world. My typical
and so let's say one more question. This question is actually from Tabitha, but it's coming through. How do you determine pricing in a location with high-end real estate?
So great question, because like I said, we've got both. I manage low-end and high-end properties. I always look at other Airbnbs around me. I look at them for pricing. I also look at how nice the place is. I mean, actual nice. Look, my unit here is nice, but it is really for basic travelers who are coming in who just need a place to pit stop. It's not horrible, but it's not a Ritz-Carlton. My property here is more like a Hampton Inn, which is a very nice property. It's a good brand and everything like that, but you're not coming to get a whole lot of room service and extra stuff. But one of my properties that I manage is definitely like a Ritz-Carlton in the layout and the things that we offer. I mean, even something as small as a Keurig machine, down to location, down to everything else. So I take that into consideration when we price it and the things that we offer. We offer gym memberships and all kinds of other stuff, but that is priced at 5 times higher than my current place because of all of the offerings. It gets a different type of guest, and I'm totally okay with that as well. But you do have to know your audience and also understand, is that going to be of value? And I go back to, during COVID, I'm not getting any guests in that high-end property. I'm only getting guests in my unit.
Okay, good, great. So everyone on the line, if you all have any questions for Simone, just go ahead and type them in the chat. But we're going to pause real quick with Simone. Simone, thank you, but stay by. We're going to bring Frida Williams up, and then we'll bring you back up, Simone, towards the end. So Frida, welcome. Again, Frida, as I mentioned, you've been with HomeFree for a couple of decades. I'm not trying to age you, but a couple of decades. But during that time, you have been in literally involved in every sector of the mortgage business. On the side of being a loan officer, officially or unofficially underwriter, home ownership advisor. So you've been at all stretches of this home ownership piece. So my question to you, Frida, is, one, why don't you, Simone said I sent you all questions earlier, but I actually have a question that I want to kind of take off of Simone's part. One thing that Simone mentioned is when she bought her home, she was very focused at the time of buying her home on making that home into a multi-unit of sorts, being in a position where she could rent out the basement apartment. So first, talk to us, Frida, about opportunities for renters who are interested in buying that they may have so that they could do something similar, get the finances together to afford having a in-law suite or something that they can rent out in their home. And then also tap into how homeowners may be able to tap into some money so that they can build out their home to make it comfortable to generate income through Airbnb or being a landlord. So let me pause.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And move your camera down a little bit, Frida.
Okay.
That's good, perfect.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, Milan, you asked a lot of information just now. So
I gave you 3 questions in one. So let's start with renters who are looking to buy a home. What would you suggest to renters who are looking to buy a home but also want to find a place that has some areas they can rent out, maybe some type of in-law suite?
I would say to renters that's looking to buy a home, reach out to HomeFree-USA and meet with one of our home ownership advisors so that we can put you on the right path in order to buy a home. Tap into some of the down payment and closing cost assistance programs that will allow you to buy a home, as well as save some of your cash when trying to buy the home. The home that you buy, you don't always need to sell. You can keep your home and still buy other homes. That's one way that people become investors. Buying that first home allows them to be able to use that home and to leverage buying other homes by refinancing, pulling equity out, allowing them to be able to tap into the equity of the current home, pull some cash out, and buy a new home, and still keep the old home that they have. So there's a lot of things that a person can do when you're buying a home. Don't always look for that house to be in the condition or A1 condition that you would want it to be in, or you may want it to be to rent out. You can change it into that by tapping into equity. You can change it into that over time, making sure that the structure is there that you need. So for an example, if you're buying a house and it has a basement, when you buy that house, you cannot buy that house with that basement unit having a kitchen that's operable. So a lot of times they may tell you that the kitchen needs to be removed. Once the kitchen is removed, you can then buy that house as a single family home. Basically, once you've gone to closing on that home, if you decide that you want to put that kitchen back down to make it a rental unit, be it Airbnb or just a rental unit, you can certainly do that because the house is yours.
So basically, the kind of making sure I understand and everybody on the line understands, when you're buying your first home or when you're buying a home, you may not to get the financing for your first home specifically, you may have to do some things in terms of making sure the home meets certain guidelines so that you can get approved for the loan. Once you get in,
if you're a first-time home buyer, if you are a first-time home buyer, they will not allow you to buy 2 units or 3 units. It only has to be a single-family unit. However, the home may have a basement, and the home that that person chooses may already have a kitchen, where the kitchen may have to just be temporarily removed in order for the home to go through with the financing as a first-time home buyer. That is okay, because the kitchen can be put back afterwards to still make it that unit that you would need in order to rent out.
Got you. Okay, so basically standards are different. The mortgage standards are different for first-time home buyers versus an investor and that kind of thing. So thus, doing what you said initially, connecting with an advisor at HomeFree-USA. And folks on the line, we do have free mortgage assessments available. I'll talk to you about that. But if you need to, in the meantime, you can always just give us a call at 855-493-4002. But we are offering free mortgage assessments at the end of the call today. This is an opportunity where you can have a quick conversation with one of our advisors at HomeFree-USA so we can help you to think through some of these things so you can make the decision that's right for you. And so, Frida, going to people that currently own a home, what opportunities I hear a lot from people that currently own a home that say, you know what, I really want to turn my basement into a rental unit, but they are strapped with the cash to make that happen. So kind of talk us through, for current homeowners, how homeowners can tap into possible financing to be able to kind of make the needed renovations on their house, and what are some precautions that we need to be mindful of?
Well, Milan, we deal with a lot of homeowners that come into our office to just sit down and talk with us about making a decision in order to refinance. A lot of people are interested in, number one, doing renovations or either paying off debt and or, like you said, doing some remodeling to the home in order to make it a rental unit. A lot of times what they don't know is how to get started. So when they come in and they meet with us, we have to take a look at their entire profile in order to determine what is the best option for them. It's going to all start with the home. How much equity is in the home in order for them to take advantage of. A lot of times what we will do is we will do a clean sweep of everything. We will basically clean up their finances in order to put them in a better financial situation. So what I mean by that is that a lot of times clients have debt that they need to consider paying off, and sometimes the way to do that is to refinance it and into the mortgage, or even look at doing a home equity loan. So it just depends on where that person is in life as well as with their mortgage. For example, I had a young lady the other day interested in some cash for her home. She has a very good rate on her first mortgage. She's about 15 years in. The amount of cash that she was looking for, I suggested that maybe she just do a home equity line because she only wanted $15,000. So I suggested that rather than refinance the entire loan, because she was at that 15-year mark where she was paying more towards her principal than her interest, I just suggested that she do a home equity for such a low amount, and then showed her how she could basically use that home equity to do what she wanted to do, as well as paying it off within a reasonable amount of time.
Got you. But to your earlier point, it is all about having professional advice to do that. Because what we don't want you all to do is, and we're talking to the homeowners now, is to be in a space of, you know what, I want to turn my home into a cash cow, and then you end up stripping your equity. So talk to us a little bit, Frida, about stripping one's equity, or just some things to know. You've mentioned a couple things. When a homeowner is looking into tapping into their equity, what are a couple things that we should be mindful of when doing that?
What you should be mindful of in terms of looking to do a refinance, be mindful of the type of loan that you're doing, whether it's going to be an FHA loan or if it's going to be a conventional loan. Be mindful of where your credit is when you're trying to do that refinance as well, because that is very important. Refinancing a home is almost as hard as purchasing a home. And it's basically because there is still a level of risk when a person basically wants to tap into the equity in their home. It's important. It's very, very important that your credit scores are in a position to allow you to be able to have options. Allow you to be able to have options. You can have a house that the house is worth, let's say, $600,000, and you only owe $200,000 on it. Well, you're able to tap into up to 80% of the house appraised value. Well, if your credit score is, let's say, at 580, and you want to get some cash out, yes, we can help you get that cash out at that 580 credit score. But what we will tell you is that the type of loan that you're going to have to get is a loan that requires you to pay PMI, and that PMI on that FHA loan is for the life of the loan. So our objective is to clean you up, which is to get that refinance, get everything taken care of, to help you to improve your credit score so that you can come back a year later and do a refinance into a conventional loan to eliminate the MI because of all of the equity that you have in your home. So a lot of time it's always good to talk with a homeownership advisor so that we can basically discuss what your ultimate goals are with that home or with the finances that you're trying to do.
Excellent. And I like how you said that it's really going into the goal, because if your goal may be, I want to tap into my equity so I could buy a $40,000 car, we're not going to tell you to not do that, but we will give you some very realistic pieces to think about related to that. And I like how you said, too, Frida, about the importance of financial management related to homeowners, because many, we all have gone through it, or many on the line are going through it. The need to get financially pretty, if you will, with your credit, debt, savings, should line up to go to the lender for approval. But really, we need to be considering and thinking about those factors and preparing for them, really, even as a homeowner, so we can continue to tap into options with our home as needed. So, Frida, you started talking about this a little bit ago when you first started. You became a landlord kind of by, I'm not going to say by accident, but by inheritance, if you will. So many folks on the line are, like you said, they're becoming landlords because they may have been visionaries like Simone. They were like, when they went to buy the house, they were very clear on the need and the want to have a rentable unit in the home. Then you have people who just kind of fall into being a landlord because they move from their first home to their second home. The first-time home buyers are projected to stay in their first home for 7 to 10 years, if not shorter. And so many end up moving on, have families or whatever. They end up moving on, and as a result, their primary home, their first home, and then maybe their second becomes their rental property. But with you, as with many, you inherited your rental properties, not just property. So my question is to you, Frida, what are some pieces of advice? I mean, how was that process of, becoming a landlord through inheritance? And then what would be some suggestions or piece of advice that you would give to other people that are in that position?
Well, you're absolutely correct, Milan. I did become a landlord abruptly and no choice of my own, but giving the location of the property and the value of the property, we decided that it would be to our advantage to keep the property. Real estate in D.C. is prime, and there was really no need to sell it. So a lot of times when it's joint property that's being owned or inherited by individuals, it makes it so much easier when everybody is on one accord. If everybody can come to the agreement that the property wants to be kept or sold, it makes it a lot easier. So in my situation, it was a little different because we were always in agreement that it would never be sold. No. So with that being said, having to be a landlord and run two houses, it's sometimes, it can be overwhelming, but when you have the right people in place, it's not as bad. And when I say right people in place, you've got to have your handyman, you've got to have your contractors, you've got to have your plumbers, you've got to have people on your team that can get the job done because, again, I'm not using a management company. I'm doing this on my own. So when doing it on your own, if you've got the right group of people that you can trust, it makes it a lot easier for you.
Excellent. And you're exactly right on that. I've never thought about the deep need. I'm a landlord myself and an Airbnb host as well. And I can tell you, you're exactly right. I've never thought about the importance prior to taking on these rental opportunities of having a team, a very solid team. You need somebody that can help you think through the mortgage stuff. That's our advisors at HomeFree. And you have someone who needs to, if they need to drywall something because the tenant has put a hole in the wall, you have that too. Or just a reliable housekeeper to help you through Airbnb. But that team is extremely essential. So for everybody on the line, Frida is a mortgage whiz. She has been in the business for a while, and we could just call her a straight-up expert at this point. So we had a question that came in, and please make sure that you send your questions. So, Frida, are there closing costs and down payment incentives for someone that is seeking to buy another property strictly for investment purposes?
No. There is no down payment or closing cost assistance for anyone that is looking to buy a second home and keep the first home that they have.
Got you. So for investors, when it's not your primary residence or not your first home, the amount of down payment and closing cost incentives decrease / aren't there.
If you are an investor and you're wanting to buy a home for rental purposes only, your down payment is going to be between 20 to 25%.
Okay.
Of the sales price. If you are a current homeowner and you're looking to buy another home and make the home that you currently live in your investment property, but the next home will be your primary residence, as long as you can do conventional financing, you are able to buy that home going conventional and put 5% down. And the reason why I stress conventional is because in order to do it going FHA, number one, FHA will not allow you to use a lease to offset your current mortgage payment unless it's showing up on your tax returns for the last 2 years. However, with conventional financing, you're able to basically say, hey, here's my lease, I'm renting this house out, and I want to buy another house, but it's your down payment that needs to be at least 5%.
Got you. Okay. And so going back to what you said initially, when you start talking about, I know when I hear about all the different things to remember related to mortgages, it starts to sound like a trigonometry class. So if folks are on the line and you have any questions for Frida about what makes the most sense for you mortgage-wise, whether you're looking to move up to a second property, an investment property, a third property, whether you're looking to buy your first property, please connect with us for a free mortgage assessment. We'll tell you about this in a minute as we close up. And this is a really good time to speak with the advisors because there are a lot of options that are out there, but you want to get the options that make sense for you and your situation. And so again, if you all have any additional questions on the line for Frida, please go ahead and let her know. So Frida, and actually let's bring Simone back for this segment. We're going to do just a quick rapid fire. Simone, if you could join us again. And we're just going to, as we close out, I want to have both of you talk about, and then we'll get Marcia on at the end for our closing words. Simone and Frida, as landlords, and Simone, you're an Airbnb host, many people are concerned about how do I get into these spaces? How do I become a landlord and rent out a part of my home? How do I become an Airbnb host? So what's one piece of advice you would give to those on the line to really get them going and moving in that direction?
First thing I would say is you really have to know yourself. A lot of this sounds great, but if you're not the type of person who is going to respond to the needs of your tenants, which is ultimately protecting your home, your property, that's really what this is about. Yes, we want to keep the tenants happy, but that's secondary. Secondary for me. It's primary for me is maintaining the integrity of my home. That's number one. Number two is making sure my tenants are happy. And if I do not have the bandwidth, the strength, the energy, the willfulness, whatever it is, to make sure, and I'm including my Airbnb in with my tenants too. I'm talking about anybody. If that is not the way you are built, this is not the right thing for you. Go to something else. There are several ways to make money in this world, but you've got to be conscious of, I have people around me who their landlords are not doing anything to maintain the property. The property's falling down, they're unhappy, they're threatening to move, and that's just not even a good environment. That's not a good environment to create, nor to think that you're gonna continue making money off of it. You're not. So really figure out, are you built for this? And there's nothing wrong with it if you're not, because it's a lot of work. And if you're not, then really I strongly encourage you to go off and find the things with which you are built for. You could even look at commercial real estate if you feel like that may be better for you. You can look at land lots. You can look at a variety of things, but really make sure that you are built to do the work that is needed. And if you are, go for it.
Excellent. Frida, what's one piece of advice you would give to people that to get them moving towards being a landlord or an Airbnb host?
One piece of it. Hello?
Yep, we're on. I'm not sure why the phone. Shakira, it's on your view. That's if you could change it over. Yep, go ahead.
The one piece of advice that I would give to anybody that's looking to be a landlord is just to make sure that that's something that you want to do. Because when the tenant doesn't pay, you have to pay.
That's true.
You can't call the lender and say, well, my tenant didn't pay me this month, so I can't pay the mortgage. You just have to be mindful that an investor means basically that if the tenant is not going to pay, you're still obligated to pay as long as there is a mortgage. And be responsive to your tenants when you have your tenants. And also, too, I myself, as a homeowner, and as a landlord, would not want my tenant to live someplace where I wouldn't want to live, and to live a way that I wouldn't want to live. So be mindful when this is something that you want to do. And it's okay if you decide that you don't want to be a landlord, because it's not for everybody. Sell your house, get the cash, go buy another house, come see me.
Excellent, good.
Hey, can I piggyback on one thing that Frida just said? I'm sorry. Also, part of what Frida's point is great in that also you need to have some savings. You really do, because we just talked about this, and we talked about COVID. There were a lot of people who could not or did not pay their rent during the height of COVID, and there was a moratorium, so they could not go. So if you don't have the savings, the landlord does not care that the tenant does not pay. All they care about is that they're not getting their money. So the necessity of savings when you're a landlord is beyond critical.
So it's not like become a landlord, make whatever income, and like ball out with the money. You got to really put it in place, to your point, to save for a rainy day. And rainy days do come. This is a business, being a landlord and an Airbnb host. We had another question that came in for Frida, and this is from an anonymous attendee. I own a primary residence in D.C. and a rental in North Carolina. My question is, which property is best to pull cash to purchase another property?
The question that I would have for that particular client is, are any of the properties owner-occupied? Which property is owner-occupied? Which property has the most equity to pull from, and the values of the property? So I would need to talk to that individual to make that determination as to which one would be the best one.
Okay, so for it was an anonymous attendee, you could give us a call at 855-493-4002. Shakira's put it in the chat as well. Another question for you, Frida, is if you are a small business owner, is there a way to gift your down payment to yourself for the use of closing costs, et cetera? So if you're a business owner, is there a way to gift your down payment to yourself for closing cost assistance and that kind of thing?
So if you're a small business owner and you are, you have basically provided your lender with information pertaining to your business, you don't have to gift yourself the money. You can use your money from your business in order to purchase your home.
Excellent, excellent. And then the last question for you, Frida, is, and then everyone from this is going to be the last question that we ask as we prepare to close out. So if you have any other questions, just give us a ring. We put it in the chat. Call us, and then we can answer your question, give you some personal attention. So, Frida, our last question is, the lending environment has changed due to COVID, naturally. How does this impact the second home and investment purchases?
Well, I haven't seen where any of that has changed. The rules are pretty much the same. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of clients in our program that are coming back for the second time to buy another home. So that has not changed at all. It's still the general 5% down for conventional financing. Nothing's changed with those rules.
Got you. Okay. And then we had another question come in, but I'm just going to say to my gentleman, because I already know what you're going to say. He was asking, and I'm assuming this is a guy, but I'm not sure it's an anonymous attendee. Can you speak on refinancing options for multifamily units? In the essence of time, my person who asked that question, if you could give us a call at 855-493-4002, we will answer that for you. The other question is, what are the tax repercussions today if taking out a loan to pay off debt using a mortgage or home equity? So again, I think you may be able to answer that quickly. Let us know, what are the tax repercussions of taking out a loan to pay for debt or using mortgage or home equity?
Well, most of the people that we deal with are pulling equity out of their homes in order to pay off debt, substantially high debt, where their monthly payments were more than their mortgage payments, but they've had enough equity to wrap it all in, and it puts them in a better tax situation, because even though they may start over at 30 years, there's more interest that they are paying, and they're having to finance that and basically give them a larger write-off at tax time.
Got you. Okay, got you. All right. And if anybody has any questions, I know Dr. O, he just asked, does the HomeFree-USA have a real estate investment group? Not yet, but you've given me something to think about. So with that being said, I just want to give a warm thank you to Frida. Let's give her a virtual clap. We appreciate you. Simone, let's give you a virtual clap. Again, for everybody on the line, if you all could go ahead and move off screen, and then we're going to just do some closing up activities. And so, again, we thank you, ladies, for joining us today. It's been just a pleasure to have you. Before we bring Marcia on for our closing message, Shakira, if you could just go ahead and launch the polls. Everyone on the line, again, we really appreciate having you all with us today. We just want to make sure we know who is on the line and how you all thought about the session and whether you're interested in speaking to one of our advisors. So, Shakira, go ahead and please launch the poll. Let's go ahead and see who's on the line. Was it home buyer, homeowner, renter, realtor, mortgage lender, affiliate?
Okay.
Please go ahead and tell us who's on the line. Who is on the line? And Frida and Simone, Frida, if you could mute your line. So tell us who's on the line. And again, folks, we appreciate having you all there. It's just great to get to know you. Let's move on to the next poll, Shakira, if we are good to go with those results. We want to know, how did you hear about today's session? Our goal is to bring you every week sessions that really help you build wealth and move up the economic ladder, whether it be through home ownership or just ways to think wealthier thoughts. So with that said, please tell us, how did you hear about the webinar today? Did you hear about it over Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, HomeFree-USA email, word of mouth, or other? So let us know, how did you hear about today's webinar? We're just so excited to have everyone here. Please go ahead and cast your vote. Or I should say not cast your vote, but tell us how you heard about the webinar. Shakir, if we're good to go with those results, let's go on to the next poll. We want to know, how was today's session? Is there anything that we should do more of or less of so that we can create more dynamic content for you? Again, at HomeFree-USA, our job, we exist, I should say, to help you move up the financial ladder through sustainable home ownership. So whether you are a home buyer looking to move towards home ownership or a homeowner looking to sustain your investment and really make your mortgage work for you and really expand your home ownership dreams and goals, we want to bring you more of that content. So let us know if this is a session that you would like to hear about again. Was it informative, somewhat informative, not informative? And then the last question we have for you all, our last poll, as we've been talking about, we have mortgage assessments that are available to each one of you, and we want you to take advantage of this opportunity. So please, Shakir, let's launch our last poll. Would you like to schedule a free mortgage assessment? Is it yes? Is it no? Are you not sure? Do you have a client? Are you a realtor or loan officer who may benefit from this opportunity? Again, our free mortgage assessment is just an opportunity for people that are buying a home or people that currently own a home to speak with one of our certified home ownership advisors at HomeFree-USA, so we can give you the right advice, the right guidance, so you can really reach your financial goals related to your home. So we appreciate having you, and thank you for telling us that whether you would like a free mortgage assessment. So we can close that out, Shakira. And Marcia, why don't you jump back on the line and give us our parting messages, and then I'm going to show everybody or tell everybody how to reach us for a free mortgage assessment. Marcia?
Great. Can you see me?
You got to get back on video. And while she is speaking, actually, I'm going to put up the slide for the free mortgage assessment. Go ahead. We can see you now.
Okay, wonderful. Just want to say to everyone that take advantage of this information. Even if you don't want to be an Airbnb host with your home or even your whatever property you have right now, think about what you are passionate about. For me, even before I started HomeFree-USA, even before I started, CFA for sure, but the bottom line is I've always loved jewelry. You see from my necklace, I've always loved jewelry. So in my home, I always sold something. Just a couple of years ago, one of our clients came in. She's a homeowner. She lost her job. She needed to make more money. And so we got her into cooking, which she used to cook for a church and not get paid. But now she's making cakes and making a lot of money. Think about what you can do on the side out of your house. It's extra income. It's going to bring joy to you, and you're going to just kind of keep some funds rolling in. I appreciate it, guys. You all did a very good job. Turning it back over to you, Milan.
All right. Thank you. Again, your time is now. Home ownership is not necessarily right for everyone, but it is right for many of us. And it is an opportunity to move up the financial ladder. And if you currently own a home, this is an opportunity for you to continue to move up the financial ladder, because homeownership is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's something that it's a long game. And so our goal is for you to speak to us, a certified nonprofit homeownership advisor at HomeFree-USA, today before 6 p.m. so that we can offer you and talk to you about how to make your mortgage work for you. I appreciate you all's time. We're at the top of the hour. Marcia, you can close out your screen. We are at the top of the hour. We really appreciate your time. Again, if you did not get your questions asked, and answered, I should say, and you just need some questions and some guidance, please go ahead and call us, email us, HomeFree-USA@HomeFree-USA.org. Call us at 855-493-4002. I appreciate your time. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you July 9th. We're taking a break for the holiday, so I'll see you next week, July 9th, for another amazing session that you absolutely can't miss. And I'm just going to give you a hint. We're going to be talking to folks about what billionaires are doing now so we can do the same thing and get a little further with our money. Talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.